That is perfectly fine because I understand that. I am intelligent enough, capable enough to understand that you are ignorant, pompous, egotistical, cretin. And that's really what it comes down to. And I'm going to crush you on here in front of everybody because I'm tired of hearing about it.
I think you're having a problem crushing me because you've avoided every question that we've asked you about why you're engaging in so much trash talk with Revis and Roddy and all the others.
I'm talking to you right now. This isn't about any of them. So let's talk here, right now. I mean, you're bringing up old stuff. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about right here, right now. On the screen, it says 12 picks, 4 forced fumbles, and 2 NFL seasons. Let's talk about that.
The famous saying, "You can't teach an old dog new tricks," has once again reared its ugly head. You see, as you get older, you become more and more defiant and set in your own ways. The more financially stable you become sometimes makes it even worse. That's because you get to a place where you feel like you really don't need anyone necessarily. For anyone to get you to change your mind about a specific train of thought, they have to move mountains to show you that your train of thought or your actions are inappropriate or offensive. For quite some time, Skip Bayless has had the ability to do whatever it is he wants to do, say whatever it is he wants to say, and really, there was never any serious consequences behind any of his words or actions. Those networks pay him pretty well because he does stir up a lot of controversy. His opinions are wild and sometimes off the hinges, but his bosses love the clicks, the ratings, and the attention. Sure enough, he was very successful in journalism before his TV personality kind of completely took over all. But over the years, his villainous or shock persona or character he's adopted, it is becoming more and more difficult for people to deal with or ignore some of the things he does. Most casual fans really know Skip Bayless for mainly 2 things, right? He's a Cowboys fan first and foremost, and he's also LeBron's biggest hater. Personally, I believe he really loves LeBron, but what he's done is created the Howard Cosell Muhammad Ali situation, right? Or he's tried to.
For the past year, he's been virtually incarcerated in this country. He's undergone all of this for the obvious reason that he didn't have the courage to fight such as Joe Frazier, Jerry Quarry, and Jimmy Ellis.
Why would you say that? I didn't have the courage to fight Joe Frazier and Jimmy Ellis and Jerry Quarry. I mean, why would you say that? I mean, you know, I've never showed no fear of nobody. And why would you, as many times as you have came to my fights knowing you had money bet on other people, I beat them. I mean, why would you, seriously, I mean, why would you sit here on television and talk about me being afraid of Jerry Quarry or Joe Frazier? I mean, that's wrong. I mean, we just don't get along no kind of way.
But the thing is, LeBron never responds to that, or him. Nonetheless, he continues to use that as his main calling card. Now, we all know LeBron is the most famous athlete in the world, but Skip has also taken aim at many other athletes as well. Don't get me wrong, in all honesty, it is his job to critique what he sees in the sports arena. But there's a difference between critiquing athletic performance and being straight up personally disrespectful to another human being. For example, do you recall when he was calling Chris Bosh, an NBA All-Star, a 2-time champion, and a Hall of Fame basketball player, Bosh Spice? Now, this was blatantly and completely disrespectful. We knew exactly what he was insinuating, because during this time there was a famous group called the Spice Girls.
I think because not just your play, but the type of person that you are. You're very versatile. You come off as just kind of a worldly guy. You appreciate different things. You like jokes, the commercials. And so you're a different kind of athlete than I think most people encounter. And I think they've used that to take shots at your masculinity. They picked up cues from you because whether, you know, regardless of, I know how you meant it, but people look at that as you comparing him to a woman. And anytime you compare a man to a woman, it's taking it to a totally different place. And I feel like a lot of people out there, whenever you have a bad game, it's one thing if people jump on you. But the Bosch Spice and other references, I think it goes to sometimes a very disturbing and uncomfortable place. And that's the part where I feel like the responsibility is with you in terms of driving that conversation.
I won't go too deep into how seriously disrespectful this was, but as a man, we all know how disrespectful it is to reference another man as a female. But this isn't the only athlete he's had these issues with, right? Richard Sherman, Terrell Owens, Terrell Suggs, Allen Iverson, Russell Westbrook. The list goes on and on and on. Now, I know some of y'all gonna be like, oh man, these millionaire athletes are just being too sensitive these days. That's what they signed up for. If that's your opinion, that's fine as well. But that doesn't remove the fact that there is a track record here. And if you have multiple people saying that it's raining outside, you may want to go and grab an umbrella or a coat. With that being said, a horrifying incident happened to an NFL player on Monday Night Football. I myself personally wish him and his family well, and I hope for him to have a speedy and healthy recovery from this incident. You never want to see anyone get physically or seriously injured in that particular manner. In classic Skip Bayless fashion, though, instead of keeping his mouth closed or his fingers off the Twitter trigger, he just had to let something fly. Now, with everything being removed from the situation, not knowing anything, and you just simply paying attention to the context of what he wrote, I could comprehend exactly what he was saying and not take it in a negative light. But again, remember, there's a track record where he has said a lot of weird things at a lot of weird moments that were very disrespectful, even to the point where he's criticizing LeBron's high school son about his game in compared to his Hall of Fame father. Bruh, what are you doing? So in this moment, everyone is focused on the health of a young man that has been injured severely, and everything else can be decided or figured out at some other time. Because at this moment, we're talking about life and death. So he fires off a series of tweets. Skip Bayless, of course. There's an avalanche of backlash immediately. Instead of understanding the gravity of the moment and where people were coming from, or just being a decent, compassionate human being in the moment, in true Skip Bayless fashion, he decides to be defiant about his tweet. Yeah, I know, right? Now, maybe on Tuesday, Shannon Sharp just so happened to have something that kept him away from work. But we all know the man Shannon Sharp. The man definitely shows up to work. But let's just give him an excuse, right? He shows up on Wednesday and just simply tries to give his personal opinion on the backlash. And once again, with the inability to control himself, Skip just had to interject.
Something you want to share this morning?
Good morning, yes.
Morning.
There's been a lot of speculation of why I wasn't on air yesterday, and I won't get into speculation or conjecture or innuendo, but I will say this. In watching that game on Monday night, what happened to Damar Hamlin struck me a little different. As a brotherhood in the NFL, when injuries happen, when we know injuries are a part of the game, I've seen guys suffer ACLs and Achilles tear, but I've never seen anybody have to be revived and fight for their life on the field. So it struck me a little differently because I remember seeing my brother paralyzed on the field temporarily, and he was able to regain focus. Skip tweeted something, and although I disagree with the tweet, and hopefully Skip would take it down, but I didn't want it.
Well, time out. I'm not going to take it down because I stand by what I tweeted.
Skip, let me finish.
All right, okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Go ahead, let's go, Jen.
Okay.
I mean, I cannot even get through a monologue without you interrupting me.
Well,
you could have came back, Skip.
Well, I thought,
Skip, just let.
I didn't know you were going to bring up this.
I was just going to say, Skip, I didn't want to yesterday to get into a situation where Damar Hamlin was the issue. We should have been talking about him and not get into your tweet. That's what I was going to do. But you can't even let me finish my opening monologue without you interrupting.
Okay. I was under the impression you weren't going to bring this up because nobody here had a problem with that tweet.
No. Clearly, the bosses wanted you to offer explanation, so clearly somebody.
No, they did not have. Nobody.
Let's go, Jen.
Thoughts and prayers remain with Damar Hamlin.
That's where the focus should have been.
Like I said in the opening, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. And for some reason, this persona that he's adopted over the years has become more ingrained in his psyche that he can't for once simply take a step back, be compassionate, and understand why people feel the way that they feel. As you can see, the tension is starting to become more and more frequent between Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless. Personally, I do enjoy their back and forth at times. But the disrespect has got to stop. The lack of understanding will only lead to a tumultuous end of a pretty decent partnership and possibly a long-term friendship. Deuces.
Generalities and just
No,
to
I'm
say,
not.
yeah, you are.
Okay, you spewed out some generality about
I'll
the
show you.
players don't care. Okay, let me tell you that for a fact, and Stephen A. can validate this, LeBron James listened to what I said for about, 8 years? Because that's all I heard. He said I was his Howard Cosell. And this year, for the first time, to his credit, he tuned out all the noise. That's all we saw in the finals was he's reading the Hunger Games trilogy before the games. He's meditating on the bench before the games. He tuned us out.
This is a Skip Bayless special. LeBron lost last year because he wasn't paying attention to Skip Bayless. LeBron won this year because he wasn't. That's what you just said.
Okay.
Did he not just say that?
Okay, here's what he did.